Still on the stories making rounds our political space this morning. Hashtag bad end bad governance protest. Outrage over arraignment of minors in court. Hashtag end bad governance protest. Outrage over arraignment of minors in court. Nationwide outrage trailed the arraignment of 119 hashtag end bad governance protesters in a federal high court in Abuja on Friday, following the collapse of some minors among them when they were mounting the dog. Civil society organizations and activists who reacted to the development described it as a dent on Nigeria's global image, calling for the immediate and unconstitutional release of the minors. Five out of the 119 defendants are brought before the court for arraignment on treasonable felony, rioting, destruction of public property, assaulting security officials, looting, among other charges, collapsed a few minutes after the commencement of proceedings. They were alleged to have participated in the last hashtag end bad governance protest in Kano State, during which they allegedly chanted anti-government slogans, called for unlawful change of government through military intervention, and carried foreign flags. According to one of the defense lawyers, Marshal Abubakar, the defendants were charged in two batches of 76 and 43. Shortly after the first batch was called, the defendants were mounting the dock when some of them suddenly fell down, causing confusion in court, a development and that prompted the judge to suspend the proceedings. Abubakar blamed the development on hunger and ill health on the part of the defendants. He said, all these young children are sick and hungry. They have been kept in police custody for weeks without food and proper medical care. They are sick and need proper attention. That is the cause of these unfortunate developments. After the defendants were attended to and they regained strength, proceedings resumed, following which the prosecuting lawyer, Audi Gaba, applied that the names of the four that suffered ill health should be excluded from the charge. Defense lawyers, including Abubakar, did not object, following which Justice Obiora Iguatu struck out their names from the first charge marked FHC ABJ CR 503 2024, containing names of 76 defendants. Remaining 72 defendants pleaded not guilty when the 10 counts in the charge were read to them. The inhuman detention and maltreatment of these children must end. Anyone responsible for detaining these minors unjustly is true criminal here, and this incident warrants urgent intervention, he said. Rasafajani stressed that images and the videos from the courtroom circulating widely on social media depict the harrowing scenes of some minors lying on the floor as lawyers and others try to revive them. Still on the happenings on our political space this morning, tax reform bills. North can't reap where it didn't sow. Imo backs Tinubu. A popular Nigerian lawyer, Malcolm Imobo, has backed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tax reform bill. The lawyer made his stance known in a statement on Friday through his official X account. His statement comes amid the lingering back and forth regarding the recent tax reform bill sent to the National Assembly. Newsman reports that the National Economic Council, consisting of governors, had asked Tinubu to withdraw the bill, while it called for further consultations. This comes as northern governors rejected the bill. However, Tinubu government rejected the next advice and ignored the northern governors' stance on the bill. According to the president, the bill should follow due consideration at the National Assembly, while any necessary inputs or amendments can be done at the public hearing of the bill. Reacting in a statement, Imohobo said he supports the tax reform bills because it will correct tax distribution inequalities. According to him, the northern Nigerians has been robbing the southern region for decades. He noted that states in Nigeria should contribute their quota to the country's revenue, saying that the North cannot continue to reap where he did not sow. Imehoko added that the tax reform bill is a prerequisite if the country is serious about returning to a regional government. I support the tax reform bill because it will correct tax distribution inequalities the North has been robbing and raping the South for decades. It has to stop. If we sincerely want to return to regional government and want this country to make progress, tax reform is sine qua non. Every state must bring something to the table. The North cannot continue to reap where it did not sow, he said. Still on our political space this morning, Tinubu leads tribute as Iwanyanwu is laid to rest. President Bola Tinubu on Friday led other prominent Nigerians to pay tribute to the late President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide, Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, at a funeral service in his honor. The newsman reports that dignitaries from different walks of life converged on the Cathedral Church of St. Matthew, Ata in Ikeduru, local government area of Imo State, venue of the church service. In a tribute, Tinubu described Iwanyanwu as a true hero, visionary leader, and committed nationalist who distinguished himself for preserving the nation's territorial integrity. In his lifetime, Iwanyanwu dedicated himself and his God endowed resources in several endeavors to uplifting communities, friends, and underprivileged. As a nationalist, Iwanyanwu championed nation building by promoting unity and harmony among diverse communities, tribes, and religious divides, Tinubu said. He further said that Iwanyanwu's leadership as the 11th President General of Ohanese Ndigbo was signposted by general acceptability, collaboration, and unity. Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, commiserated with the family of the late icon, describing his death as a colossal loss to the nation. The president assured Nigerians that his administration had taken bold economic steps to secure the future of Nigerian children. Also, the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, described Iwanyanwu as a trailblazer who recorded outstanding successes in the facets of business, politics, social, and economic investments. Akpabio, represented by Senator Enyinya Abaribie, said as Ohaneze Ndigbo leader, Iwanyanwu never ignored a national cause to make Nigeria a better place. He pursued issues of justice and equity with a nationalistic consciousness, Akpabio said. In a remark, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo commended governors of the Southeast for providing leadership and resources towards the successful burial of the late elder statesman. Uzodinma said that Iwanyanwu died as a leader in service, fighting for the cause of mankind, Igbo people, and Nigeria in general. He believed in a united and peaceful Nigeria where justice and equity reigned. He believed in Nigeria where Igbo people will thrive in peace along with other tribes and fellow citizens, the governor stated. Still on the happenings on our political space this morning, P2B condemns the federal government's treatment of minor protesters, calls for probe. Labour Party leader and former presidential candidate P2B has condemned the treatment of protesters, including minors, who were brought to court under degrading conditions. Obi emphasized that the Nigerian constitution upholds citizens' rights to protest against government actions that negatively impact their livelihood. In a post on his X account on Friday, Obi urged authorities to investigate the incident, which he described as a national embarrassment with global implications. I just watched the disturbing and condemnable scenes captured in a circulating video showing 124 protesters, among them minors, appearing in court today as part of efforts to secure the enforcement of their fundamental rights, Obi said. The footage reveals minors, some so weak that they could barely stand, others fainting from sheer exhaustion sheer exhaustion, and the lack of nourishment, these children appeared visibly malnourished, a condition that should alarm the conscience of every citizen in our nation. Obi expressed shock that despite the federal government's custody, the young detainees were subjected to such poor treatment. The alleged offense is protesting against bad governance affecting their livelihood, an act that our constitution, under a democratic system, guarantees, he added. He also noted that many current government officials had relied on the same constitutional protection in their past advocacy for governance reform. Obi praised the presiding judge for halting the trial, preventing further national embarrassment on the global stage. He called on the Minister of Justice, the Attorney General of Federation, the police, and the DSS, and the National Human Rights Commission to investigate the incident thoroughly to prevent the repeat of such treatment. And still on our political space this morning, Oyedepo's church airstrip under federal government's management, Keyamo. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has stated that the airstrip license for the private use of Bishop David Oyedepo's church, Living Faith Winners Chapel, would be managed by the federal government through the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. Kiyamo's statement came in light of growing concerns among lawmakers, particularly members of the House of Representatives who are advocating revocation of airstrip licenses issued to certain individuals and private organizations, citing security reasons. The House also called for an immediate halt to new airstrip licenses for individuals and organizations. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance. Okay, public importance. Kiyamo's statement came in light of growing concerns among lawmakers, particularly members of the House of Representatives who are advocating revocation of airstrip licenses issued to certain individuals and private organizations, citing security reasons. The House also called for an immediate halt to new airstrip licenses for individuals and organizations. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance led by the representative of from after the Aviation Ministry granted a license for the church's airstrip located at Canaan Land in Ota, Ogun State. When contacted by newsmen on Friday, Keyamo clarified that the airstrip would not operate independently. He stated why the intentions behind the motion are patriotic, they stem from a misunderstanding of how the aviation sector operates. Once we explain the processes involved in approving private airstrip, I believe there will be greater understanding. Kiyamo clarified that the owners of private airstrips are responsible for constructing the runway and terminal buildings, but once a control tower is built, the airstrip will be handed over to the federal government through NAMA. A memorandum of understanding is typically signed with NAMA before any airstrip can be operational. Okay, can be operational. NAMA is responsible for providing air traffic controllers and the engineers at all airports and airstrip across Nigeria. No aircraft can enter Nigeria airspace without a pro clearance from NAMA, which includes filing a detailed flight plan, Kiyamo added. He further explained that private airstrip owners would pay the federal government of these services. According to the minister, he recently issued a directive mandating that all aircraft entering the country must first land at international airport for thorough processing and checks before proceeding to any local airports or airstrips. It is completely impossible for any private airstrip owner to facilitate unauthorized flights in and out of the country, he stressed. Yes, you're listening to Political Views on Airborne at the 103.5 FM. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 08065796599. And the next story we have for you this morning: blackout, electricity decentralization solution to national grid collapses. Vice President Shetima. Vice President Kashim Shettima has said the decentralization of Nigeria's electricity is the solution to the country's incessant grid collapses and blackouts. Shettima disclosed this at the recently concluded 145th National Executive Council in Abuja. He described the recent blackout in northern Nigeria caused by vandals. According to him, incidents of vandalization call for the need to expand the country's energy infrastructure. He stressed that the federal government will not relent in encouraging subnationals to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. The VP added that joint efforts by the federal government and the state governments can make power supply instability a relic of the past. The vice president added that the joint efforts by federal and state governments can make power supply instability a relic of the past. A robust economy is the backbone of every nation. The recent blackouts caused by the actions of vandals reminds us of our urgent need to expand our energy infrastructure. I believe the governors here would agree that the decentralization of electricity is our path forward. We will continue to promote the constitutional framework that empowers constituent states within the Nigerian Federation to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity in areas covered by a national grid. Together, we can make instability a relic of the past, he stated. This comes as the Transmission Company of Nigeria on Wednesday commenced the restoration of power supply to parts of northern Nigeria states after over 2 weeks of blackout. In 2024 alone, Nigeria's national grid had collapsed at least 8 times, which plunged the country into darkness. Still on our political space this morning, marketers plan to sell petrol below 1,028 naira per litre Dangote price. Oil marketers on Friday revealed that the price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, produced by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery was between 1,015 naira and 1,028 naira per litre, depending on the quantity being purchased. Based on this, the dealers vow to import the commodity and sell it below the Dangote Refinery price, as well as the price being sold by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Data released by the Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria on Thursday showed that the landing cost of petrol was 978.01 per litre as of October 31st, 2024. It stated that the landing cost of diesel was 1,069 naira point 97 kobo per litre, while that of aviation fuel was put at 1,119 naira per litre. The landing cost of these white products is the unit price of the imported commodities on the landing on Nigerian shores. Since the Dangote refinery commenced the release of refined petroleum products domestically, he had refused to announce the cost of the commodity despite several demands for the price. However, a major marketer who spoke to newsmen on condition of anonymity due to lack of authorization to speak on the matter confirmed that the cost of petrol from Dangote refinery was higher than that of imported PMS. According to the official, the refinery currently sells to oil marketers making bulk purchase at 1,015 naira per litre and small buyers at 1,028 naira per litre. The major marketers also disclosed that three, three cargoes carrying petroleum products recently arrived and had been discharged at seaport along the nation's border. Dangote is selling to bulk buyers at 1,015 naira per liter, but to marketers who are not buying in bulk, the refinery is selling at 1,028 naira per liter. But imported PMS is cheaper than the cost of Dangote's own, and that is why he is doing all he can to ensure that the government stops the importation of fuel, the dealer stated. Commenting on the development, marketers under the aegis of the Petroleum Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria vowed that they would sell imported petrol below the price offered by Dangote's refinery. The association said its PMS would also be cheaper than that of the NMPCL. The Petroan Publicity Secretary Dr. Joseph Obele, however, told newsmen that the price of Dangote's PMS might be higher because the refinery was still producing with the imported crude he bought at a premium. And still on our political space this morning, arraignment of minors shameful for democracy. Shehu Sani. The former senator representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District, Senator Shehu Sani, has condemned the arraignment of minors in court over the recent End Bad Governance protests across the country. Newsman records that the End Bad Governance protesters, including minors, were arraigned in court on Friday. Two of the minors slumped in the courtroom. Nigerians, including some lawyers, faulted the arrangement and blasted the federal government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Reacting via his X handle, Senator Sani described the arraignment of minors as most unfortunate and shameful for the country's democracy. He urged the federal government to withdraw the charges against them and return them to their states. The arrangement of those minors for their participation in protests is most unfortunate and shameful for our country's democracy. The federal government should withdraw the charges against them and return them back to their states. He wrote. And the next story we have for you this morning, 33 million Nigerians may face food crisis in 2025. Report. The Cadre Harmonized report for October has projected that at least 33.1 million people in 26 states and the FCT will face a food and nutrition crisis between June and August 2025. This projection comes from the CH analysis report released on Friday in Abuja. The analysis was conducted by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, the World Food Programme, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, and other partners. The affected states including Sokoto, Zamfara, Borno, Adamawa, Yobe, Gombe, Taraba, Katsina, Jigawa, Kano, Bauchi, Plateau, Kaduna, Kebbi, Niger, and Benue. Other states affected are Cross River, Enugu, Edo, Abia, Kogi, Nasarawa, Para, Ogun, Lagos, Rivers, and the FCT. The report indicates that this figure includes 514,474 internally displaced persons in Borno, Sokoto, and Zamfara. It revealed that approximately 25 million people across the 26 states and FCT are currently experiencing food crisis. FAO country representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS called for urgent attention and a unified approach to address food and nutrition security in the country. He stated, with the concerted efforts of the government, CH stakeholders, and the international community, we can move closer to alleviating hunger and reducing suffering for Nigeria's most vulnerable population. Still on the happenings on our political space this morning, tax reforms. Tinubu rejects a 36 governors opposition, insists on bail. President Bola Tinubu on Friday said there will be no need to withdraw the tax reform bills from the National Assembly as the National Economic Council recommended. He insisted that while the legislative process takes its course, inputs and charges can be made without withdrawing the bill from the National Assembly. Tinubu's special advisor on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, revealed the president's position through a statement titled "Proposed Tax Reform Bills Should Go Through the Legislative Process. Inputs can be made at public hearings." It read, President Bola Tinubu has received the National Economic Council's recommendation that the tax reform bills already sent to the National Assembly be withdrawn for further consultation. President Tinubu commends the National Economic Council members, especially Vice President Kashim Chetima and the 36 state governors, for their advice. He believes that the legislative process, which he has already begun, provides an opportunity for inputs and necessary changes without withdrawing the bill from the National Assembly, while urging the NEC to allow the process to take its full course. President Tinubu welcomed further consultations and engagement with key stakeholders to address any reservation about the bill while the National Assembly considers them for passage. Tinubu's Friday response comes barely 24 hours after the National Economic Council, Nigeria's highest economic advisory body, requested that the tax reforms bill be withdrawn from the National Assembly for more consultation. Oyo State Governor Sheikh Makinde announced the council's position on Thursday after its 144th meeting chaired by Vice President Kashim Chetima at the State House Abuja. Makinde said council members agreed that the bill be withdrawn as some sections of the country are uncomfortable with some of its sections. He said this would allow for consensus building and understanding. He announced today NEC took a presentation from the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms. After extensive deliberation, NEC noted the need for sufficient alignment between and amongst the stakeholders for the proposed reforms. So, Council therefore recommends the need to withdraw the bill currently before the National Assembly on tax reform so that we can have wider consultations and also build consensus around these reforms for the benefit of the entire country, Makinde stated. And the last story we have for you this morning before you can call in and tell us what you think of all of this is anyone more than 7 years old can be arraigned in court, Nigerian police. The Nigeria Police Force has said that anyone more than 7 years old can be charged to court. This comes amid outrage which greeted the arraignment of #MBadGovernance governance protesters on Friday. The force spokesperson, Muyiwa Ogunjobi, disclosed this on Friday during an interview with newsmen. His comment was in defense of the arraignment of the 76 minors who were arrested during the #EndBadGovernance governance in 1st to 10th August 2024 and arraigned in court for alleged treason and other offenses. Reacting, the police spokesperson said none of the hashtag End Bad Governance protesters charged to court is younger than 7 years. Ogunjobi added that the 13-year-old suspect is not immune from being arraigned. Once you are more than 7 years old, you can be charged to court. None of them is less than 7. The fact that you are 13 years old does not mean you can't be charged to court, he said. Recall that Atiku Abubakar, the 2023 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, condemned the arraignment, noting that the minors are not spared from Tinubu's government's hardships. Similarly, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Projects And Amnesty International Nigeria asked Tinubu's government and the court to release all the 76 arraigned minors. Yes, there you have it. Nigerians are reacting to, they are reacting to this 25,000 naira to 25 million Nigerians. That 25,000 naira, the Minister of Finance talked about, he called it, he referred to it to as, he called it the that is, this 25,000 naira that was meant to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal, the conditional cash transfer. That's what he called it, the conditional cash transfer that is meant to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal on Nigerians. So some Nigerians are reacting to this and believe that Nigeria should move away from palliative economy, because it impoverishes the society at the end of the day. And at the same time, if you look at the way things are going now, 25,000 naira, a lot of people are looking at it like, what is it going to solve for even the people that is being given to? If there is anybody that will attest to it at the end of the day, because most Nigerians are also speaking out saying that they don't know anybody who must have attested to the fact that they received the 25,000 naira from the federal government of Nigeria. So, on this particular edition of Political Views on Ebon at the 103.5 FM, we would like to know if you are a recipient of the 25,000 naira being paid to 25 million Nigerians today. Meanwhile, the senator representing Edo North Senatorial District, Senator Adams Oshomole, during a recent event in Abuja, said that the current generation of workers are much poorer than those in the past. According to him, the celebrated 70,000 naira minimum wage, when converted to dollar, is equivalent to $42. He went further to compare the first minimum wage under the Shehu Shagare administration, saying that the 155 naira minimum wage at that time was equivalent to $160. Remember that he is APC, he's in the APC government as well, and he's saying this, defending Nigerians at the end of the day. So, what are your thoughts to all of this? The numbers you call and then you become part of the conversation is 080 65 79 65